What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin IT podcast, episode 62. I got with me at Jack. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Ready for another great episode.
All right, Andre.
I'm tired of stupid people. Is that a good feeling to give?
Okay, people. Okay, people. So, you know what? We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. All right. First things first. Fake outrage. And the reason why I call it fake outrage is because, like you said, Andre, in your video you put up today about this whole Skyward Sword amiibo situation, you know you're gonna buy it. So why you mad?
Yes. So I was out of the loop.
Extra functions.
Right. So I was out of the loop with this whole situation because I was working on music this entire time. So Twitter comes up and this Skyward Sword amiibo is like the trending thing. And I'm like, what the hell happened this time? So I look it up. Now, mind you, as you know, as I told you before, Jay, I've never touched Skyward Sword. I've never played it. So for me, when I saw the functionality, I'm like, was that initially in the game in the first place? And they was like, no, it's a quality of life thing. They should have added anyway. And I'm like, okay, my question to y'all, because when you put it up there, I'm like, okay, perfect. I can ask this question. Is this something that could hurt the game? And is it something that comes later in the game anyway?
Okay. Whoever said it wasn't already in the game was completely incorrect and has never touched Skyward Sword. The fast travel locations in the game, little owl statues that you have to walk up to and use. The amiibo just skips having to find one and actually use it to get back to Skyloft. That's the whole purpose.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Now, I do agree that using it for that functionality is the best idea. There were fast travel locations already in the game. People just are too lazy and to look up the information and find out if it's something that they had to worry about. So if they threw big hissy fits, nothing.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, okay, is this even a thing in general? But if you're going to have an amiibo for that, and like you said, it's kind of weird for them to use that. But nonetheless, if they already have something for you to do fast travel, I don't know too many games, if any, that's like, okay, let me just press start right now and just move from this location to the location I want to go to. It's typically you have to go somewhere to do the fast travel.
Yeah, it's very few games that do it. Like Dragon Age is one series that does it, but it's different for each game.
Right, exactly.
But there's not very many games that, you can just fast travel if you want to.
Right.
Now, funny thing about it is, you know how all that complaining was happening, this anti-consumer and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Amazon. Go to Amazon, try to pre-order.
I already know.
It sold out the day after everybody threw their complaints up.
I'm convinced the crowd, because I'm not one of those that if it's a Nintendo game, I automatically assume it's Nintendo fanboys, because I understand other people are going to voice their opinions even if they don't own the system. But I'm convinced at this point, if I like the game, let's say Xenoblade Chronicles X was come to the Switch, what we'll talk about later, and let's say I'm one of these fanboys, I'm going to be like, well, they should have done this just so I can get some attention on it. That's why I feel like that they're doing at this point. Like, let's get a little bit more attention on it, and hate sells more than positivity. So let's do that.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because at this point, I mean, that's why a corporation ain't going to listen to you if everything they do, you still buy it anyway.
Right.
Like, because they don't know if this is bad or not. Y'all say it's bad, but we just broke a record.
Right. And business is a compromise between both the consumer and the business owner, because no one's getting a fair shake out the whole situation. Like, if it was for the consumer, they'll be giving it away for free. If it was for the business person, they'd be selling it at the highest profit margin they could possibly sell it at.
Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks good for an amiibo. It looks great. That's why I'm like, I don't see what the problem is. And let's keep it a buck. Half of these people are collecting it, and on top of that, they're trying to get 3 and 4 so they can sell it back on eBay for $500. Let's keep it a buck.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're gonna have somebody that's going scalpers that's going 5 of them and keep them packaged and hold on to them for like 5-6 months when nobody else can really get them, and then they're gonna resell them.
Yep. It literally is a repeat cycle. That's all. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah, so I mean that it's funny to me at this point because I'm like every time this happens every time. This ain't like the first time this happened. It happened with Animal Crossing. It happened with Pokemon. We remember the Pokemon Sword and Shield situation. How dare they not have the National Pokédex? Meanwhile, yeah. So if I'm sitting in that Nintendo boardroom, do I listen to the fans? No. Because why? When they yell, they gripe, they moan, they complain, and then turn right back around, and it's the highest selling thing that they got that year. Yep. But if we listen to the people that's complaining, you would think it's a wide scale boycott going on.
Nintendo would have stopped making games by now, listening to the quote unquote fans.
Yeah.
Look, and these same people can stand in long 20, 30-minute video. People is going to be the first ones, day one, streaming it. Right. The second the game is available to be played, they're going to be streaming.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen people complain about Nintendo Online, but every time I go online on Smash or Mario Kart, they're there. I'm like, didn't you make like a 45-minute video talking about how trash the online is? Why are you here?
We're going to see them heavy starting next month because Mario Golf pop up.
Yeah. So I'm like, I understand why companies just like, yeah, sometimes it looks like they listen, but sometimes I'm pretty sure they don't, because the action doesn't, match with what the outcry is.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't listen either.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
Let's be honest. Consumer doesn't know what they want anyway.
Yeah,
be honest.
I mean, the Wii U to the Switch proved that. So
I swear we have to go over that every episode. Jeez.
There's been too many conversations about that. Look, I could even go over the one that I will have in this week. And then the very same dude who would say the Switch, said the Wii U is a bad platform, list all of the features that the Switch is getting from the Wii U. When someone else asks, well, what does you have that the Wii U? But this very same person who hogs the Wii U, well, Nintendo should have made a better console. I'm like, did you not think and use logic here? You just pointed out reasons that the Wii U was bitch, but you still Wii U.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the words of my favorite animated rabbit, it is to laugh. You have to at some point because it's just funny. I mean,
it is.
I find it to be hilarious. I don't know if anybody else does, but me, I find it funny.
You have to, because if not, you'll lose your mind. I mean, honestly, that's why that's one of the reasons why I appreciate the fact that we have this show. Because honestly, going on Twitter, it's a shit show. Like they complain about the same stuff every day. Like you imagine people just going back and forth, like, oh, the game on my console got one frame rate higher than yours, so mine is better. I'm like, are you serious?
Back to the Grand Theft Auto grass thing.
Oh,
yep.
That's coming back because aren't they re-releasing that this year too?
Oh, they're gonna squeeze Grand Theft Auto 5. They're gonna squeeze that. Oh, you want Grand Theft Auto 6? You better shut up and buy this Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X and on PC again. Like,
you're not getting any more of my money, dude. I done bought that game so many times. I think 360, Xbox One, and PC. I'm not buying that game again.
And I'm pretty sure they're gonna sell it again on PC.
Of course, why not?
Oh yeah, they're gonna pull what Capcom did with Resident Evil 4. Put the new edition of it out on the PC.
Oh my goodness! So yeah, I can't wait for the Grand Theft Auto stuff. That's gonna be hilarious.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just looking forward. I can't wait to see that trailer at E3, and I hope we know there ain't gonna be a crowd, but I hope we get to see some reaction videos of people just getting mad.
Oh, there's gonna be plenty of reaction videos for that.
So okay, so let's have some good news, right? So according to a tweet from Deep Silver this week, Free Radical Designs is coming back. If you don't know who Free Radical is, they are the studio behind Time Splitters. They were made up of ex-Rare developers that worked on GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, and they are back. So all I want to know is, please let there be a Time Splitters 4, and please let it be available for everything.
I would say first, give us a couple trilogy games with everything updated.
Yeah, true.
Make some money, old stuff first, then do 4. Because if we going legitimate, Time Splitters, the game that has freaking dang it. Think of the character in there, Tracer.
My Overwatch.
Damn it, I know the name of it. Yeah, Overwatch. So this is what Overwatch brought it out.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if they want to,
what they should have done story wise, anyway.
I mean, if they want to make some money, I mean, yeah, I do a HD trilogy, remake or remaster or whatever, and get some money off that. That way, I don't have to go to Kickstarter, and then do Time Splitters 4. I mean, because we've been asking.
Learn from Master Chief's Collection issue. Do the scene all separate in just one multiplayer mode. Just one. Then you'd be good to go.
And don't forget to add your net code.
So you can roll it back in there if you need to.
Hey, look, man, you know I had to, man. Come on, man.
I had to do it.
It's all about netcode, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested with Time Splitters. I mean, because if you think about it, we don't have a lot of the wide range of shooters that we had in the 6th generation.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a bunch of them. I mean, even when you start going into, the Unreal tournaments and Quake and all that other good stuff. But I mean, it would be a nice breath of fresh air to have something different from COD and Overwatch and all these other games. But I mean, hopefully they do the remake situation first. Like you said, get a little traction in there so people can get accustomed to the name, because it's been a while since we've had the Time Splitters. And then when you get the name and you get the feel back up, then hit them with something that is a little more, I guess you could say, modern or up to date.
Yeah.
And see if it sticks. But they got to stick with it. That's the thing. They can't run the copy route of, okay, well, this worked for COD and this worked for this game over here. So now we gotta do it. And Time Splitters doesn't feel like Time Splitters anymore.
Yeah, because I do want it to retain that comedic type feel to it.
Exactly.
Because I don't need dead serious. We got too many dead serious shooters.
That's where Saints Row messed up. Honestly, I feel like Saints Row could have been side by side with Grand Theft Auto if they did not go the route. Like they were super goofy. And while some of the games, the story premise and the superhero stuff was kind of goofy, is like they got away from something that they could have been competitive with. But I don't know. Like, I think Time Splitters could stand with the rest of them if done right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I will say this because I'm more of a story type person myself anyway. I like 3 better than 2. I didn't care for 1 all that much. 2 was just fun. 2 was just I don't know what it was about 2. 2 was just fun, but 3 was my jam.
Right.
I double dipped that game. I actually double dipped that game. I bought it on GameCube and on Xbox. Right. OG Xbox. I double dipped. That's the first game I double dipped.
Wow.
Because I did not double dip Soul Calibur 2. There was no reason to, because Link.
I was about to say there is no point.
Yeah. So, but Time Splitters 3, that was the first game I double dipped. I double dipped that on GameCube and on OG Xbox, and it was a whole lot of fun. So I'm hoping they kind of keep that, at least the charm of the story going. And then, because I don't know how you would actually modernize it. I think honestly they just stick to their guns and bring that level of craziness that they had back in 2005 now.
Right.
Because nowadays the modern stuff just don't. To me, the modern stuff gets boring after a while.
Right.
So have some fun. Go buck wild crazy and have fun. That would be my. Yeah, that would be my suggestion to Free Radical. Just to go crazy and just have a good time and make sure you having fun. Because trust me, we can tell when y'all having fun.
Yeah, I'm about to say arcade style games have been sorely missed, and that's what they need to do.
Because everybody's afraid to do them.
True, that is true.
Yeah, yeah. But if you make it fun, like you said, we get a trilogy run first, just so people can get, so they can understand. Because you got to remember, we hadn't seen this game in over 10 years.
Right.
Running close to 20, but
right.
Haven't seen the last game in like 10 years. Because I want to say 3 came out in 2005. 4 or 5.
You're probably right.
Something right there.
Yeah. So
I checked real quick.
Yeah, because it was either 4 or 5 when it came. Because I want to say it came out right after Beautiful Joe 2.
Oh, that was a interesting follow up, then.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah,
nailed it. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's been over 10 years. So yeah, I would do a HD remake, and like you said, Andre, just one multiplayer, just one.
Yeah,
just one.
Make the single, because if they do too many different multiplayer setups, it's going to cause problems. So just do one, but again, keep your little level editor in, but put all characters in one. That way, one, you got character variety, and two, you don't have to sit and fight with it online because so many different servers are being hit up from the same game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. So, guys, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about Free Radical Design coming back. Are you a fan of that series? Let us know in the comments and stuff like that, and we'll get back to you. So, I found this one. I found this to hurt my soul a little bit. I opened up my 3DS for a little bit because I usually play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask at least once a year, and I found a couple new themes waiting on me when I opened up my 3DS. And that got me thinking, like, why the hell don't they have themes and folders on the Switch?
Why? But the thing gave it to you on, you didn't buy the shit, so why?
I mean, because the reason why I asked, because like it was rumored at the beginning in 2017 that they were on the way, and it never materialized. Because I don't know if Nintendo just said like the hell with it or what, but I'm like, you would think like by now they would have made at least one OS change, at least one.
Yeah, I mean,
they should have.
When you look at folders and things where it specifically says black and white, and they make it seem like there's going to be more than one, or more than just those two. I thought they would have done it by now. I mean, they did it with all the handhelds. Honestly, I don't have an answer for this because. Even if it's
they did it with both the Wii U and 3DS.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, at this point, the only thing I can say is maybe an OS speed situation. Maybe.
Either that or they looked at it like, well, we gave you all this before, then you trashed us, so we're not going to give it to you again and see what happens.
That's what I stand on right there. Because honestly, like you said, this is the big middle finger.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not. We're gonna give you a bare bones system. All this thing does is play video games. You better be glad you got Funimation and Hulu. Like, and just to dumb it down, even though I know this is not from Nintendo, I'm just play on the stupidity that came from Twitter. They're giving you a calculator app on top of that, even though it's not from Nintendo.
It's not even from them. So yeah,
he was like, "Oh, Nintendo's giving you a calculator. Who's it from?" It's just so I think it's from Nintendo. I'm like, okay, you got it. I'm not even gonna do this with you today. I'm not.
Well, look, I already went over the stupidity of that in a discussion, so I ain't gotta do it again.
That's
so crazy.
Yeah, and it comes from people who, for some reason, you're like, okay, dude, you don't have to buy it.
Nope.
So why are you complaining about it? Just don't buy it.
It was great content because I even saw some I did respect. As far as content creators saying, "Oh, really, Nintendo? Like, what did Nintendo have to do with this? Like, they had nothing to do with this other than approving it."
Yeah, they approved it because they got paid.
Right.
All they did was look at, well, it does what it says it's supposed to do. Put it through.
Exactly.
Put it through. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, who's going to use it? I don't know, but I mean, it's there. I can say that this has one of my iPad doesn't.
Facts. Facts. I mean, hey, I found it to be hilarious because once again, it's just one of the situations. There are over 2,000 games, I think, in the eShop, and right. You're mad about one calculator that you don't. It's not like Nintendo has a gun to your head and said you better buy it. They didn't even develop it.
I wanted, Jay. I wanted more games. I wanted Grand Theft Auto on here. Nintendo can do that. Throw some money at people so I can not buy this game and complain about how bad it looks and how bad it runs. Like it's so stupid. I don't like this community anymore. Like it's just I hate going on Twitter, dude. Like I can't stand it. I was like, at one point, I was like, am I just getting too old for the stupidity?
No.
So I'm like, because I just turned 33, and I'm like, dude, at this point, y'all can't be this dumb. You can't.
No, it's a mix of. I want to say I think it's a mix of entitlement and the negativity generating clicks.
There you go.
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
But I hate that works. Like, why does that work?
Well, why does the news always show the most negative aspects of the human condition?
It sells.
It sells.
Unfortunately, people are morbid, and anything that you can do that brings up negativity, mention. Like if I decided to just go on a full-on rant about the video game industry right now, I know that will get a lot of views.
Oh yeah,
I know
it definitely would. It would. But the
I don't
stupid
want
part
to,
about this,
but I know it would.
Here's one key thing, right? So Biomutant. This is a game that I've been paying a little attention to here and there, and I like the way that they're just going crazy with it. I love the mixture of everything that they've showcased. You think that's what's popping up on my Twitter feed? No, it's the simple fact that it's 1080p and it gets upscaled. That's what the conversation is about on the same level of return.
And can we be honest about something here? Like people need to stop acting like they go to Xavier School for gifted youngsters. You're not mutants, all right? Like they can detect. I can detect when it's 4K, 120 frames a second. No,
Digital Foundry's fault. It's Digital Foundry's fault. They're just doing their job. I'll never complain about a company doing their job. I always blame the consumer. Yeah. I tell anybody you can't have an issue with a company if no one is purchasing or supporting that company. They put it out there, and it's content that people eat up because they have to use it as fuel within their console wars. That's just what it's for.
Yeah, and we already know the console wars did not help the game industry at all.
Still not.
Nope,
it did not. That's why you continue to see the complete 180 of people who hated everything that certain companies did, and now they turn around and be like, "Oh no, we love them."
Right. And just like
I never said anything bad about Nintendo. Never, not at all.
Xbox has games. They have a very wide variety of games. Wait a minute, you just spent like the last 3 years saying, don't worry about what I said.
Right. And then we have this situation of if we're on social media, I don't have to use proper grammar or vernacular when I'm explaining something. So if I said to you, Xbox doesn't have any games, I don't care how that's being perceived. What I meant is it doesn't have any games that I want to play. Then why not just say that? It didn't take you long to add that fucking I in there. Like it's just like
it doesn't have games. It doesn't have games I want to play. So 4 more words.
Yeah.
4 more words was difficult for y'all to.
And I've never understood that. I've never understood it doesn't have any games. I'm like, well, you're a multi-console gamer. Why are you complaining?
No, they're not. They're not.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, okay. So we'll take that road. You're not a multi-console gamer, but there's 3 or 4 games that just came out for the system. Well, I don't like Monster Hunter. Well, that's between you and whatever deity you serve. That doesn't mean that game doesn't exist. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists. So you can't say it doesn't exist. It exists.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't like it.
No. Like I said, there's plenty of people that didn't have a PS4 and they were lucky enough to get a PS5, and they're playing Spider-Man Miles Morales and the remaster of Spider-Man right now because that's a new game to them. I tell anybody if I haven't seen some, for example, Harlem Nights. I had never seen it until maybe like a year ago, right? Got a chance to watch it on Amazon Prime. And that's a new movie to me. I don't care when it was released. I don't care how many times you saw it. That is a new experience to me. People are just like, well, I'm not playing these old games. If you haven't played it, it's not old, sir. It's one of those things that
it's really
have not experienced it yet.
Yeah, it's not. And by the way, Miles Morales is off the chain. He needs his own. He needs his own full game, and not a game. Yeah, not clear DLC, but he needs his own full game. But yeah, that being said, I agree. I'm like, yeah, that's why I stopped saying, like, okay, look, I'm not going to complain about it because I knew, and this generation with Xbox Series X, S and X, and PS5, you should have known. We live in an information age. You should have known that those games are going to be available everywhere. They told you that in the middle of last year. I want to say around June, July last year when they started doing their own little live events. They were like, "Look, I know we said this is going to be on PS5, but it's also going to be on PS4 and PC. We know we said it's going to be on Xbox Series S, but it's also going to be on PS5. PS4." I'm like, because they're not gonna ignore their base. I'm not gonna ignore 120 million user install base when I know I don't have 30 million PS5s ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't ignore that.
That'd be a lot of money loss.
Yeah, and they're not trying to do that. So, I mean,
Heck, it's a risk right now for them to put any game on either Xbox Series or PS5. If they're putting them on just those, it's an extreme risk for any company right now. Because of the cost it is to make those games, how big they're going to be on those platforms, and the fact that there are not that many of them out in the wild in comparison to everything else.
You're going to run into a lot of remakes that's going to happen further down the line, or re-releases. Because I mean, if you were one of those games that came out at first and you didn't do too hot, when the crowd is there, you're gonna have to re-release it again, just so you can kind of come through and scoop them on up.
Oh, you mean the thing Nintendo's been everybody's complaining about?
Hey, but it's not PlayStation, all right?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, this is where we're at in gaming. I mean,
that's sad. So
I mean, it's sad, but now I will say this: I will never complain about a game from the 6th gen and below getting a remake or a remaster. I'll never complain about that because that was standard definition. Right. So, and you never know. Yeah. And you never know what they might be trying to actually, gauge interest. You know how we've been saying, how people been complaining about they want F-Zero, and we've been saying the best way to do it is either A, release the GameCube Virtual Console, or B, let somebody port it and then see what happens.
I honestly, I think F-Zero GX going to port that. F-Zero G and AX need to be combined into full game, and it will look great because it looked great on the GameCube.
Yeah, it did.
So it will look even better now if they did that.
And and then we get to see all the crybabies cry about the game being too hard.
No easy mode here. I can't play.
The easy mode is not hard. I mean, the easy mode is not
accessible.
Easy. Yeah.
Make it accessible. Nintendo, they did make it accessible. They put it in the store for you to buy it. Not going.
It's accessible.
The only thing as far as accessibility, I would say Nintendo needs to work on is having controllers that people that are disabled can use.
Right.
That's it. But if we're talking about just the general scope of their games, they've always been accessible.
Yeah. I mean, I had to give Microsoft props for that adaptive controller because that was dope. That was dope. So I got to give them props for that. All right, so now we're gonna come to the one that's probably gonna make a lot of people laugh or piss a lot of people off. We're at that point of the show. We're at that point of the show where these things tend to collide. Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Okay, you want me to lead off on this?
Yeah, go. Yeah, by all means.
All right. For everybody complaining about Xenoblade Chronicles X, guess what you could have done? You could have got your head out your butt, gone and bought a Wii U, bought the game, and played it to the fullest extent with the gamepad and actually enjoyed it instead of complaining that it's not on the Switch, because you do know that when it comes to the Switch, it's going to be downgraded because of the fact that you're going to now have to open a menu in order to do the exact same thing would have taken you 2 seconds to do, looking at the gamepad and touching the screen.
Yep.
If you fine, I'm just saying, don't complain about the look of it being easily. Okay, don't complain about the fact that you're going to have to enter that menu multiple times in a single session and it's going to slow your gameplay flow down. Just play the game the way it's going to be on the Switch if they decide to port it. I'm not against them porting it. I'm just saying don't complain about the fact that it's going to not be as streamlined as it was before.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm against them porting it. I am. I'm against them. I'm against them porting it. And the reason why I'm against them porting it is for the same reason you said. That game needs the gamepad.
It does.
I am not going to be. You know how many times I went to that map?
A lot. Trust me. I already know.
Because it was part of the navigation system of the game, and it was very, very creative to do it the way they did it.
Yep.
Now I know there's some people saying, well, they could just create an app to do that. I don't even want them to do that. Yeah, I don't even want them to do that. Yeah, I don't even want them to do that. But
they could, but it won't work the same.
The way I played that game, I had my Pro Controller and I played the game on my Pro Controller and I had my gamepad set up to the side. That was ideal because all I had to do was press.
Yeah.
All I had to do was glance over at my map and press. If you put that game on the Switch, your HUD will be cluttered. It won't be it will not be it won't be a good experience.
No, not even.
Plus on top of that, let's say they do make an app and put the app on people's phones and tablets and stuff. On phones, that's going to be trouble because it's going to be so tiny.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to use your phone. So people are going to be extremely zoomed in. So you're not going to get as much of the map as what you would have gotten on a bigger screen. But then if they put it on tablets, how many people are going to sit there and then station a tablet with a stand and leave it sitting there plugged in? Because you're not going to want to leave your tablet just sitting there running this app that's going to clearly drain the battery just to be connected to the game over the internet. And if you have any connection issues with your internet, that's going to make the play experience faulty. It can work, it just won't work fully.
But why even go through that headache to create an app for one game?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. It
don't make sense.
I mean,
no.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, look, I'm so happy that a lot of people are liking the game now, but you should have liked it when it came out, 2014?
2015, I think. 2015.
I think it's 2015. Well, you should have liked it 6 years ago. You know, I mean, that's where we're at with this. I'm like, you should have liked it then. Because if they do it like people want it to be done, it won't be. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be playable, but it's gonna be a headache, and people will be complaining, and they'll have every right to complain. That's why I'm saying, like, don't even do it. This ain't no situation where it's an easy fix. That game relied heavily on the gamepad, heavily.
If you're gonna do it, just do a sequel.
Yeah, just do a sequel, and we just have to worry about how in the world they're gonna do that. Now that brings me to this question, because I like Monolith Soft, and it's clear that they're working on something Xenoblade related. Do you think they're going with the anime take, like sequel to, or the next game in the Chronicles 3, or do you think they're going to go Chronicles X route and do a sequel to that?
I think honestly, and I've said this before, if they make a series, they should definitely do a mainline Chronicles game where you have the established and then do an X game where you have your own character you have to establish. If they do that, one, it'll keep the variety of the series up. Two, it'll keep the longevity going. They'll be able to adhere to each particular play style that people like. Because like our buddy Jamie Butterworth, he doesn't really care much for X, but he loves the mainline Chronicles series for it.
Yeah.
So it's essentially it's the same universe, but there's two different styles that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
you can feed both.
Yeah, because one is way more sci-fi and the other one's way more anime.
Yep, exactly.
Way more anime. Like Xenoblade Chronicles is way more anime sci-fi. Chronicles X is way more sci-fi.
I mean, Chronicles 3 makes more sense to me considering the fact that we got the definitive edition. And I don't know if it was one of those things of like, okay, let's do a continued story of Shulk in the game at some point in time, but I don't know. To me, I mean, it could be a Final Fantasy situation to where like every time we get a Chronicles, it's just another group of people with their own different story and their own situation going on. That'd be a smart thing to do as far as I'm concerned. But but I would love another X because I love the mechs and everything else that come along with it. You know, the ginormous monsters. I mean, I loved all of that. Now, how long it took me to get those? I mean, you can shorten that time span.
Yeah,
but,
that would be nice. That would be nice.
I'm sitting there playing this game like from sun up to sundown. I'm like, I still haven't gotten to the point of this.
Nope.
And when I finally got it, I was like, oh, okay, I got it now. Now what? Because that's what I was gunning for. I'm like, now what? What do I do now? It was crazy, but yeah, please shorten that time span up. But nonetheless, I mean, I would love another X.
I mean, Monolith Soft has been on a hiring spree lately. Them and Retro been hiring people. Like, what are y'all working on? Because y'all are hiring entirely. That's a lot of people that y'all hiring. So I'm hoping to hear something in the vein of what they've been working on. Because I'm not gonna lie, Torn of the Golden Country and XC2 Chronicles 2, that was just way too good.
Now I didn't touch Torna because I told myself I wouldn't do it until I finished, the other game. But the fighting style, I heard there was a lot of quality of life changes that got changed with that game.
Mm-hmm. I prefer the combat in Torna to Chronicles 2. It's easier to do your combos in there. It's way easier. It is so much easier to do them. Like in the regular game, it's not that it's hard, but it takes forever to get the elements to line up.
Right.
But in Torna, nah, not too long.
So, do you think they will ever make a series to where it's more aligned with what people want, as far as, I wouldn't say hack and slash, but instead of just pressing the button, let the character do the action, and you actually pressing the buttons and it's responding to your button press?
I think they'll keep it like they have it, just because it's one of those things where if you've played it, you're used to it by now, and if you change it up too much, it'll be a jarring experience.
So it'll throw everything off, and people will get pissed.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you take Legend of Zelda and take it from action adventure and make it a real time strategy, people will get mad.
Ooh, yeah.
But the crazy thing is, like
pissed.
that. I know it's two different types of games, but that worked for Yakuza because I like the way they went with it with Like a Dragon, and I feel like they could have both live. Kind of like what Andre was saying, just having different game styles, and I guess you could say spin-offs, so that way it kind of appeals to more people, but it's still under that same umbrella.
So as a spin-off, that would be fine.
Yeah,
as a spin-off, it would work, but as like main games, it would throw everything out. It would throw people off too much.
But
if they wanted to do a Xenoblade Chronicles spin-off and go ahead and say, we'll give you an action adventure Xenoblade spin-off game where we delve a little bit more into certain characters' backstories, like Shulk or Mithra or whoever. Yeah, they would do that. That would work.
Koei Tecmo was they salivate now.
Right.
Did you just say Xenoblade Chronicle Warriors?
Honestly, that would work. Actually, that would work to explain the whole war between the two titans for Chronicles. Right. So there's precedence for it to work. I mean, it's not like they haven't done that with other Nintendo franchises.
Yeah, I just can't wait for No, I ain't gonna say that. I'm not even gonna say that. But
Look, I'm looking forward to seeing if they do that Mushroom Kingdom Warriors game like I've been talking about.
well,
That's what I'm
didn't
looking forward
hold on,
to see.
didn't no, he said he wanted it was Star Fox. That's what he said. He wanted Star Fox. One
No,
of the
he said he wanted to
producers.
do it for Star Fox and Mario.
Oh, he did say Mario. Okay.
Yes. Look, I got a whole video for that. But they want to do it. I got the layout for it. Just come on, just give me a contract. I get y'all the ideas. Just give me a contract.
All right. Oh, hey,
They ain't
Trinell.
listening.
Hey, Trinell. So, okay, yeah, I would like Chronicles X. I like Chronicles X too. It's not. I like all of it. And if they do another one, I would want the mechs and stuff to be expanded. Yeah. But like Jack said, they need to shorten that time frame for us getting it, because we didn't get to the 5th chapter. That was like 50, 60 hours
cut
in.
It down. Cut it down by cut it down to a third of that. Make it a 20 game.
Yeah,
that's way too long. Way too long.
The problem was they showed them off and all their promotional stuff
right there,
and then you got to drag through the game.
Jeez.
Yeah, so
make it sort of like a police type thing where you have to get to a certain level, but don't be so drawn out.
Yeah. Xenoblade is one of those situations where, like, I never played the ones that was on when it was Xenogears on PS2. But once it finally came to Wii, I played it and I was like, this ain't half bad.
Right.
And then I just got sucked into it. And then Xenoblade Chronicles X, that just blew my mind. That game blew my mind. The scale of it. And then for it to be on the weak system, I'm like, okay, weak. All right. Hey, they stuff worked at the frame rate and the speed they said it was. And I'll leave it at that.
As long as we got one or two that hit 4K 60, I can say my system works, I guess.
If it hits that.
If it hits it.
Need I remind you, Square Enix sends me emails every week.
Speaking of Square Enix, what is going on with Marvel right now?
We're talking about Marvel Avengers. Well, they released the Red Room that people hate. I have not played that yet. Look, I will say this about Marvel's Avengers. It is not the ideal was a good idea. The problem is you can't make a Destiny 2 style game in the superhero genre. And the way they did it, the way they initially did it, I guess they wanted everybody to play as different characters. So you could like if Jack, if you played as Hulk and I want to be Hulk, I couldn't have two Hulks on the screen.
Right.
Nope. They fixed that now, but at launch they didn't do that. So the problem was people were just like every decision they made, it was just bad. And the other thing that killed it for me was the fact that Ultimate Alliance came out on the Switch and it was a way better game.
Right.
And unfortunately
game.
Looked way better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was like, bruh, even though Marvel's Alliance had its problems too, because I did not appreciate the fact that they DLC was not story DLC until the last one. I didn't appreciate that. Yeah,
I didn't care for the multiplayer because I tried it in the camera. I don't know. It had its issues. Yeah.
Well, they because the thing was they wanted everybody to do the hero camera, and I'm like, the hero camera is fine when you go by yourself. It is not fine when you got three people helping you.
Right.
I think they underestimated that a little bit. But it was the better game as opposed to, and then let's not pretend like that whole E3 reveal did not help. That did not help Avengers at all.
No, not at the least.
It was awful. But I mean, even though they fixed the issue of, let's say we wanted 4 Hulks on the screen at one time, for me, this is the issue with licensed games. I don't want 4 Hulks. To me, that doesn't make sense.
No,
but the bad thing is, there could legitimately be 4 different Hulks,
sure.
because there are different characters that have been the Hulk.
Right.
And they all have different power sets.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it was just the people wanted their favorite character. So, like, if you had two people that like Thor, they don't want to play with they don't want to play with Iron Man.
Oh yeah, I understand that completely.
They don't want to play with Cap. They want to play with their favorite character, and that they should have had a bigger list. They should have had a bigger list than just the 5 that they had.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
I think that was just a mishmash of issues. It was a mishmash of issues. So
I figured.
Yeah, they should have just went with it. Hey, look. To be honest, they should have just went with the X-Men.
I just thought I'd ask. I didn't even want to spark that fire, but I mean, it's just like I said. I don't. Even though I play games, I don't pay attention to everything. And even with Marvel Avengers, when I saw how that started off and the way it started off, like that was just awful. Because I tried the demo on PC, and let's just say it didn't place.
Yeah, I tried it on the Xbox and on the PS4. The PS4 version was better. When I did the demo, it played better. The Xbox and the PC version, I heard horror stories about. In the Xbox version, it would pop in and out. It crashed on me during the Abomination fight, which I'm like, why is it crashing? But then when I went to the next weekend, I think the next weekend they had it for PS4 because they were testing that servers out, and it worked fine. So it was just one of those situations where it was plagued with problems because it's one of those games that I think their ambition was high, but it should have been a little bit more controlled and measured.
They need somebody to sit there and say, yo, hold on, let's pull back a moment and make sure we can get everything from the basics of this game working first. And they didn't do that.
They did not, and they had years to do it. So I think what the other thing that happened too was they were like, look, this game was supposed to came out back in 2014. It did not come out. We got to put this game out now. Because if you remember, that game was supposed that it got if memory serves me correctly, they did the first teaser trailer for that game right after the Avengers movie came out, the first one. So I want to say 2012, 2013, when you saw the little thing, the little teaser with the glasses, the hammer, the shield, and the gauntlet, and Iron Man's gauntlet. And I'm like, and I forgot all about it until 2018 till 2017. I'm like,
everybody else did.
Yeah. So I'm like,
I remember that trailer.
Yeah. It's the reason why I hate it when people say, just give us a trailer. Just give us a trailer. We don't care. Just give us a trailer. Because Bayonetta, they did it with Bayonetta 3. They shouldn't have did it. They did it with Metroid Prime 4. They shouldn't have did it. If it's not ready to go, don't release no trailer. Just don't.
Yeah, they did it with Shin Megami Tensei and they shouldn't have.
Yeah. I mean, Shin Megami Tensei, they did that. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, man. It's definitely easy to forget.
The only lucky thing out of that is we ended up with 2 games instead of 1.
Right.
Yeah. And from what I hear, I'm heard that remake of 3 is off the chain.
Yeah. For those I heard it's tolerated.
Yeah. And Shin Megami ain't never been my jam, so
I mean, I like
Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei is the persona you play if you want to be frustrated and mad.
I'll put that down quick.
It's worth it once you get to a certain point in those games, but the beginning is going to be awful, and those stories are going to until you get to the point where the characters actually are capable of doing something for themselves.
Right,
you are going to feel depressed playing those games.
Yes, you are.
Okay, yeah, because I never got into Shin Megami Tensei. I guess because I don't like first person RPGs.
True.
I don't like first person RPGs. I'm like, I really don't like first person action adventure games either. I'm like, dude, if I'm a cool character, let me see my character.
Yeah, true.
I want to see all the cool stuff I'm doing. That's why I have a problem with Destiny so much. And then finding out that Bungie initially wanted it to be third person, but Activision was like, no.
Activision said, nah, Halo.
I'm like,
make a Halo clone.
Like, no, dude. Let them do what they're gonna do.
They should have stuck with their original. Let them stick with the original plan. It probably would have turned out way better.
Yeah. Because I think it would have. Because the other thing too that wound up happening was we got saturated with the first person It just got saturated.
Mhm.
Yo,
Yep,
what's up,
it's
Shadow?
oversaturated.
Yeah, sorry, dinner interfered, but schedules will do. The schedule will do.
Look, man, food you gotta eat.
Yeah, you gotta
people gotta
eat.
eat. People
Grown
gotta
boy.
eat. All right, so since you're here, I've been keeping this one just in case you did show up.
Mhm.
So we had a couple people ask in the comments on the last video about the game review topic we had last week,
Mhm.
and I wanted to let you know if you wanted to go into a deeper dive to it, I was gonna let you have the floor.
So regarding like the game review process, as far as
Yeah,
like how, but wait, I'm trying to remember what the conversation was last week. We were talking about.
we were talking about how we have certain game reviewers saying that they don't have to play the whole game in order to
Yes.
review it.
Ugh.
Which is
So, and I mentioned before, I said, look, y'all get review copies. That's changed a little bit, and I had a conversation in the comments on the last video regarding that too. Yeah, it has changed a little bit. So, because of the greed of publishers, you have a lot of these games are literally released day and date, and the press they find out about it sometimes the same time we do. So they're forced to do a rush review at the last minute. But I excuse me if I sound a little terse with this, but sucks to suck. I mean, if you're in the business to provide an opinion or whatever, and you're being gauged as a valued opinion in the industry, and you want other people to use your opinion to say, hey, look, is this game worth it or not? Should I go and buy this game? And you're depending on ad revenue from giving good reviews to other people or what have you, and you want them to use your platform, then it behooves you to figure out a way to make sure you can give a full review. I mean, us as customers don't really care one way or the other how you get it done. It just needs to be done. Like, hey, if you have to dedicate time and just say, hey, look, you know what? They didn't send us review code, so it's going to be a couple of weeks before y'all see a review from us. Yes, the game just launched, but y'all might want to wait, because I believe a couple of times that happened for Famitsu, because Famitsu will not, until they have enough people to review a game, they're not going to review it. So
yeah, they don't do that.
And their review scores are highly regarded. So anytime they give something a 40, everybody starts looking. They're like, hey, wait, maybe that's something to pay attention to, because that's rare. But yeah, I get it. I get it. So that would be something that, say, if Brian Altano was on this podcast, that'd probably be one of the first things he said. Well, you know what? We don't get time to do that anymore. We're kind of like, we're strapped for, cash. And I mean, that, that's a business decision that you guys chose, 15, 20 years ago when you decided to not pay people.
Exactly.
So I don't know what else. I don't know what else to tell you at that point. You hire all these freelancers, and then you take their work. They'll give you a review. You copyright it under somebody else's name, and then whatever the freelancer, quote unquote, just got the pleasure of writing for your thing. I mean, I don't even think they could even claim that they even wrote their article in their resume anymore. So it's just one of those weird things where you did what you needed to do to get an advantage at the time, and now you're biting the bullet. So and now people are hip to the game, and they're watching videos like this one, and they're like, hey, well, what do real people that play these games really think? Versus people that are literally paid to say, hey, look, yeah, go buy this because the industry says go buy this. Not, I actually played it and I know what I'm talking about. So
exactly.
So
there is a way around that, though. There is a way around that where they could still give some information and then do a review later. They need to be doing it that way.
Well, they already did it. They did it for Grand Theft Auto.
Impressions first. I'm not talking about that bull, because we're going to review without the full components to it. No, I'm talking about doing first impressions, like your initial thoughts of the game, and then you come out with a full scale after you've had time
exactly
to play it. On top of that, one that gives them 2 avenues, and people will take their opinions or seriously instead of like, oh, they rated it this. I don't care about what they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that is an avenue. I just don't know. hey, if they'll bite on that, because that's against the business
That's
of
called they stupid.
yeah, that and a lot of these how can I say this, journalists, the business itself is so
Popular bloggers.
they're so deep in the mud now. Their money had it so much now, that some of these changes literally have to be reviewed by the people that pay their bills. So they're kind of like, how can I say this? They're kind of like lobbyists in a way. Hey, which way is the money going? And we need to know, if we change our business over here, how does that affect when the next Grand Theft Auto game comes out? How does that affect, id Software and, the type of stuff that they come out with? Because if they decide they want to come out with a MOBA, or they want to come out with another tower defense game, or what do they call those? The last 100. What are those games called? I can't think of the name of them right now. That genre, battle royale. They come out with another battle royale, and say it's a build up, kind of like Fortnite was, because Fortnite was dry when it first came out. It took a while for all that stuff to build up to get, and if that is the majority of the kind of games that are coming out going forward, and the publisher knows that you're going to change how you review that stuff, they're going to be less likely to purchase ads on your site. So it's just one of those things where now because they got in bed with them in the first place, now they're stuck with that foolishness, when it should have never been that way to begin with. The only way, it should have never been a major revenue stream for them to provide gaming information by selling ads on the site from the very publishers they're supposed to be reviewing, because that's a huge conflict of interest. So if you're going to have the review portion of your media, have that be a completely separate company. And if you have, whatever, hey, look, we have this other part of our site or whatever, and we show ads just like a game magazine does. Like, so yeah, there are reviews in there and whatnot, but the publishing company itself at a higher level accepts all those ads and buys all those ads. Everybody that's quote unquote doing all the reviews and everything are completely separate of that. They have no idea all that's going on. But from a small startup website, everybody's really in the same room for the most part, other than maybe the CEO or whoever decided to start it and everything. And that just seems really gross. And with information being able to be had the way that it is now, and you got people literally leaking business plans and stuff like that now, because they don't have to leak the documents themselves. They can just give a testimony once they leave the company and just say, hey, look, it was like this here, and that's it. And now everybody knows what's really going on the inside. So, and you don't break an NDA per se unless you talk about a trade secret.
Right.
And business, how can I say this? Business, I won't even say business itself, but more so like behavior or office culture isn't part of trade secret. Now they could try to put it in a clause if they want to, but they probably need a strong legal team to really stand on something like that, because that really shouldn't be a legal document considering free speech and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're in a rock and a hard place. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you feed that beast, if you will, because now you got to find a new way to do it, especially with everybody following Nintendo now, and they're cutting out the middleman. So
I mean, I feel like what Andre was talking about would work for your established platforms. Because I mean, this is just me, right? I'm looking at an IGN and the GameSpot that have been around for a long time. When you get that trust, okay, now I can start giving you a little bit of previews, but I can tell you, hey, look, just wait a little bit, because you do have those publishers that say, you know what, we're not going to give you a copy until the day before, because they know the game's messed up. They know the game is what it is. But you will have those publishers that give you a game in enough time for you to finish it, depending on what type of game it is and how much time you have to invest in it, like RPGs. But when I look at something like, for example, on the cell phone side of things, I'm pretty sure everybody wants, to get as many purchases they possibly can within that first couple of weeks of the phone coming out. But there are some content creators I go straight to, and I know their content comes later down the line, because I know that they take their time and give you the in-depth look of the phone, opposed to just continue to regurgitate the same things that are said about every single phone that comes out. So when I look at game reviews right now, which I don't pay them too much attention, I do have those games that are already established with me, so it's a pickup for me regardless. Then I have those games that just look so great. As long as I don't hear anything about it being messed up, I'm still
Mhm.
going to purchase it. But then, of course, there's those games I have to check the reviews for because it may not be as interesting, but it may be something that maybe a hidden gem that I wasn't, privy to. And that's where I feel like GameStop and IGN would really come and help in with that if they did the first impressions first out the gate, then hit me with the review if you finish the game.
They could, but the only problem with that is GameSpot, one of the ones you just mentioned or whatever, had Gerstmann Gate. And they remember Gerstmann Gate.
Yeah.
So, and the biggest problem, I think that wasn't talked about, but the biggest problem with that was it wasn't Jeff Gerstmann getting fired. It was the fact that leading up to the review of that game and for all intents and purposes, GameSpot was selling the fuck out of ads for that game.
Right.
Like the entire year, excuse my French, but that entire year, pretty much, they were lacing ads for that game going all the way up until that point. And that's a huge conflict of interest. And then now all of a sudden you have to, now you're forced to give a review for this game that's not that good. And it's got to come out at some point. And of course, all the higher ups at GameSpot are like, yeah, don't release that review. Because we got a whole bunch of money up front and we had to put a whole lot of ads out for this game. And so if that business structure still exists, which I think it does, there are going to be some publishers they can't make that change for. And I'm thinking it's definitely going to be a lot of EA stuff. It's going to be a lot of Take-Two stuff. At that point, when you click on the webpage and it's not even the webpage anymore, the entire background is Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, chances are they're not going to change their structure specifically for that game, unless it's for that company's best interest. Like, okay, so they delayed the online. Yeah, now we can give you 2 reviews. Like that kind of stuff. That lets you know that the third parties own these media outlets pretty much outright at this point. Because if you go against your traditions for one game, like what does that tell you? It's just kind of odd. I think they could if they were able to undo a lot of that stuff, but a lot of them they're so embedded, they're so stuck in it. Even though they have the capital and they have the mind share, definitely. To say, hey, look, we're going to break away from this, and you know us for 20 plus years. So, hey, IGN, we're now doing legit reviews and we're doing this other kind of stuff or whatever. Forget that guy from YouTube that we hired a long time ago, decided to copy reviews. We're a new company now. Like, it's going to be kind of hard to shed that business structure.
Right.
Even if it's the right thing to do and they know it's the right thing to do because they've already started spinning the wheel. Right. It's capitalism, man. What else can I tell you? They gotta pay bills. Pay bills. So it's just I just think that now that everything's changing now, and people are kind of hip to the game, it's really gonna be left up to us. And then a lot of YouTubers, if you will, are starting to even weed out what do you? I'm guessing the best name for those. I guess what other people call them is bread tubers, but basically, because since we're quote unquote crumb side, the money side, those they're not really taking them seriously anymore because hey, look, man, hey, so do you have to tell me you have a Blue Yeti microphone every time you talk? Do you have to? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't tell me that your video was brought to me by whatever, because it should be brought to all the viewers, not it's YouTube. It's not, hey, pay me because whatever company comes first will make this video happen. So now that people are seeing that and they're kind of avoiding some of those people like the plague or whatever, and they're looking for more kind of raw reviews and gaming news and stuff like that. Like today, and it was just I just went on a tangent looking for something else, and I found official documentation that showed that the GameCube actually produces more triangles and more vertices per second than the original Xbox. Like there's the original Xbox. They marketed this in a very smart way. The original Xbox was touted. A lot of people believe that it produced more than 100 million polygons per second.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they marketed it was 116 vertices per second. The GameCube produces 160 million vertices per second because it does 90 million raw. And a vertex is just a point where the triangle is made, and you can share. If you do like a block, you can share vertices where you only need 4 versus 6 if there's 2 triangles stuck together.
Right.
So instead of like close to 200 million vertices, it's 160. But they tried to use that 116 number to say that it was more than a quote unquote 16 to 20 polygons per second that only Nintendo would put out, because they're talking about what actually happens in the game. Just little
Shadow,
stuff like that.
Shadow, you're forgetting one very important thing about the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
It had mini discs.
Oh yeah,
that's why it was horrible, man. They didn't use real discs. They had mini discs.
Yeah.
How dare they?
That was so bad. That was so bad. But yeah,
that security feature would have saved them a lot.
I found that information, and I was like, well, hey, why are they hiding this? And then when you start looking at some of the triangle setups, the majority of the stuff that you would see in the actual game was never more than 30 million polygons per second on either GameCube or Xbox, really. It ended up being a wash at the end of the day. But all the marketing leading up to that and all the things that were said and unsaid by gaming press intentionally and by the publishers themselves as well, because you had third parties going in and kind of like trying to throw their, they'll sprinkle their little salt and pepper in there too, even though Microsoft's over here like, we said our one number, that's it. Because if we tell you, we can't tell you we're a brand new console over here, and then the GPU that we were touting all this time, it's a little less capable than the little lunchbox. I mean, obviously it had newer architecture, so it could do a couple more effects in a more modern way, if you will. But if you knew how to program games from the 5th generation, then doing that with a modern architecture for the 6th generation, it wouldn't have really mattered going between Xbox and GameCube at that point. So you either develop a way to do the little switchboard effects on Flipper, or you write a shader on Xbox. And it was nothing elaborate that you could write with a shader on Xbox anyway. It's nothing like how shaders are now. So it was just one of those things where I was just like, wow. And so all this time, it literally was conditioned. Like you couldn't find an article for the longest time where anybody even talked about what the raw throughput of the GameCube was. Like Greg Buckner from ATI had to say that. Like he had to come out and make a statement. It was just one of those things where and Nintendo for the most part doesn't want to fight that war. They don't want to go out there and say, hey, look, you know what? We're actually stronger in this way over here. They keep marketing this, but we're stronger here. They want you to see it in the games that they're trying to sell you.
Right. They want you to have fun. They want you to play the game.
Yes.
You can't play specs.
Yes. So there's a concerted effort, clearly, where they want you to understand a certain personification of these little boxes for whatever reason. They're just like, hey, this plastic box is for this, and this plastic box is for this, and this plastic box is for this. And I'm like, pretty sure all of these consoles pretty much play all the same games for the most part, especially third party during 6th generation. I really don't like Call of Duty is on the Wii, so I don't really understand how could you really say that console is kiddie too? Like at launch, it had Manhunt too. I don't like, but why are y'all trying to? What's the point of being extra like that? Why?
Right.
You gotta push the narrative. You gotta push the narrative.
And what does that achieve? What are you doing?
It wound up blowing up in their face because, like I said, the console rivalry helped the gaming industry. The console war damn near killed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
and I know some of it was eventually, hey, we need unique clicks. What do we have to do? Okay, let's spin up this little war. Let's say this and that or whatever. And then people will go on our forums and then they'll sign up on our page.
But it started like blowing back up on them because you can only go negative so much.
Yeah. Until
people just get tired of it. And one of the people that actually got tired of it was a little guy by the name of Iwata. And he pretty much said, okay, you know what? Y'all done mistranslated half of my developers. Y'all done said we said stuff we didn't say. How about we just bring our stuff straight to you?
Right.
And that pissed IGN off, but then it was IGN fault.
Yeah.
So
I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I don't think they do the Paygate still for videos? Do they still do that anymore? There used to be a thing where you subscribe to them and you can see E3 videos and all this other kind of. I don't know if they. Yeah,
they don't do that no
I'm pretty
more.
sure that died at some point after Nintendo Directs. I'm pretty sure it was probably fairly soon after that.
Yeah.
But stuff was changing so fast anyway, and with streaming apps and stuff like that, it was only a matter of time. Like, look, y'all, this isn't sustainable. You're not going to make money off this because people are not going to like. What's the point of them going there? They could just see it on YouTube Live or from Nintendo Live or Twitch or whatever.
Yeah. Vicky, I'm not answering you. Vicky, I'm not answering you.
Oh, God.
But that's exactly why when Nintendo started doing the directs, everybody in media started talking trash about it and trying to get the community behind it. Because if they talk trash about it, they get the gamers behind it. Nintendo's going to have to revert back, and they never did. They stood their ground and followed through what they were doing, and we see how that turned out.
And the next thing you know, everybody started trying to do it because
it's so. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, I will continue to say this. The thing that killed E3 was Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You put a developer, the translator, and somebody else playing the game live. You can't say when everybody else is just showing you a CG trailer. You can't sit up there and say, "Okay, you can ignore the actual gameplay of the game and how it's playing, and you're going to get it in a couple of months."
Right.
I don't even have to give you a demo. You just saw the game.
Yeah. I thought that it was going to happen earlier once Sony jumped in on it, like in 2008, 2009, when they're just like, you know what? Hey, we just showed you a demo of a brand new God of War game. Also, that demo is on your console right now. And then people went and they're like, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. Like, that should have been the start of the end right there. But for whatever reason, they still got another couple years out of milking E3 videos. And I don't know how, and then at one point in time, I think there was one year, 2011 or 2012. I think it was a Mario Kart year. It had to have been a Mario Kart year because I think Nintendo had the Mario Kart game playable, the E3 demo playable in like Best Buy, I believe.
That was 2013. 2013.
Yeah, that was 2013.
Yeah.
So that was, that should have been the writing on the wall for sure. But it was just crazy that at one point that was a viable business. Like GameSpot and IGN were doing that. Like if you wanted to see, you had to pay and subscribe to go watch the video. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure there's an original source for these videos somewhere. It's not just them walking in there with camcorders. And there's 50 million other people that come in as press in these, and they could just bring cameras too. Also, it's past 2007, so there are cell phones now, and people are literally standing there with their phone and recording the video. So, like, I think at one point in time they had a lock on it, because some people that were trying to upload YouTube videos when YouTube first got started, they were getting strikes initially. And we're talking about when YouTube was free, technically, because you upload a 480p video or what have you, and there was no monetary, because everybody was kind of new. There was no monetary whatever thing, and they put up a video, and all of a sudden the video gets taken down. Like, what's going on here? There's a host of old Wii YouTube videos that no longer exist on YouTube that used to be there. So you can go and see all the IGN videos of the behind the scenes and stuff that they have. But there were other people, like you could see, it was a video where you could see the IGN cameraman in the background because there's somebody else that was there holding up their phone or their camera or whatever, trying out a demo. Like they're standing in line. You see them in line trying out a demo. Those videos for the most part are gone now. I can't find any of them anymore. So it's like at one point I don't know what the rules were. I don't know if that was an ESA thing. I don't know if that was a Nintendo thing, or maybe it was the press having an influence kind of situation since they were bigger. But a lot of that original content from that time is gone as well. if you look around too, it's hard to Google the photos also from a lot of people that used to go and they just, take pictures with this guy or whatever. And then they have pictures of them in line and stuff like that. Because photography was allowed if you were a member of the press. You had a specific press pass with camera, and you had a specific press pass without camera if you were going to be allowed there. So people were taking pictures there other than IGN, GameSpot, or whoever. Like there were, random insert writer here from Wall Street Journal or whatever. They could take whatever picture they want.
Right.
But you wouldn't see any of those candids usually floating on the internet for very long. And that's just, I don't know what was going on then, but it was obviously concerted in some way, shape, or form, because there's no way that you take down every rando out there and they just magically disappear. Right. A lot of the old videos from that time are gone as well. Like a lot of the old Sessler podcasts are gone. Just a wealth of stuff that used to be there is no longer there. It's almost like, hey, we're going to do this. We know that at some point in time, this is not going to look good in retrospect. So we're going to get rid of it too. We're going to clean house. So yeah, I would just say peep game, and it is what it is when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, do you want to sell the game or not? And if you're going to be the press, like your goal is to report and report only, because everybody else can get the information that you get at this point. Right. So I really, there's no value to you other than you having a brand and you being respected. So we're trying to listen to what you're saying, but we don't really need, you for information, if you will. We can get that directly from the source now. So we're only here for your take for the most part, and whether we respect it. And we can't respect it if you're bought and paid for. So
nope, can't. That's true.
If you pay attention now, like, because Nintendo doesn't care, and pretty much Nintendo fans see it for what it is, the time it happens. A lot of the online console war crap right now that's happening right now, the only gullible people left are the Sony and Microsoft fans. So they're still doing that little fake back and forth between, and I'm just like, both of these consoles are the same. I don't even know why are you, and neither one of them really have any games right now. So what are you arguing? We don't understand. So you're arguing about what's going to happen in the future? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, Phil and Shuhei Yoshida is like, man, this console war is stupid.
Yeah,
it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But
there's no way to really, and the only thing I can think of is that it's generating enough buzz for the people that want to grift, that want to make money off of it. They can. Yeah. And any other startups, anybody that wants to start up their own site, or they want to make themselves known, to create a resume, if you will, they go out there, say something stupid, they get enough attention, they start a little site or whatever, and now they use that as their, hey, this is my resume now, look at what I did. And then they make themselves known. So I think that's kind of what's happening there. Like, I could be overnight tomorrow. I'm not changing my structure. You'll get a video from me whenever the fuck you get it. And that's
like if you want to get your channel up there right now, let's make you a PlayStation channel. Get you a PlayStation channel, dog out Xbox, and then dog out Nintendo every now and again, and you're good.
Yep. It's weird it's that way, and there's such a swing back and forth between that, because during the 7th generation, it was everybody leave PlayStation to go to Xbox 360, like, and then it just goes back. It's the weirdest thing. Like, y'all ain't loyal at all, so why are y'all even acting so hardcore about the system that y'all just switched back to? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much all I have on that. It's in that comes from a little bit of experience myself, being part of that little background there in some way, shape, or form. So I've seen what contract agreements look like. I've seen what drafts look like when you need to submit them and stuff like that, and the things that you need to agree to and not agree to before something is published. And the only E3 I've been to is here in Atlanta back in 95 or 96, whatever year that was. I don't remember. It was a Killer Instinct year, so
I missed it. I missed that they used to move that around.
But that was only and that was a hot mess because nobody was ready for anything. I saw iJustine from afar, but not up close. And then
why does that sound familiar?
she used to be on a bunch of Apple podcasts.
She's been
Early
around
2000s, and then she became her own thing, and she's super popular on Twitter and
yeah.
YouTube.
The chick that do like the little media, I mean, like the phone reviews and joints. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, people, we've hit that hour 20 mark, so we're gonna call it a night. Thank you for joining us. We do really appreciate it. Next couple of weeks, we're probably gonna do some E3 related stuff just to switch things up a little bit, and probably try to figure out what they're doing because the schedule still ain't up yet, and I'm starting to get a little worried. So, because there's some people dropping, there's some people staying. Yeah, I'm like, okay, y'all need to figure this out because we're trying to get stuff figured out. But thank you for joining and commenting and all of that good stuff. We really do appreciate it. Jack, anything you want to pimp out?
Man, just continue watching the channel, continue sharing it, continue leaving comments, man. You'll definitely get more of me from here than you will my own channel. So definitely continue watching and supporting the show.
All right, Andre.
Start liking people. Start liking and subscribing.
That too. Definitely that.
Yeah, that too.
Well, there's some actual there's some actual content on my channel this week, and I've been on an uploading frenzy, so you're gonna be seeing stuff popping up. I really do wish I would have started like a couple weeks back before Game Builder Garage got announced, because I had an idea so similar to that was going to be using these instead. I was like, damn, Nintendo. Like, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming in my bones. I knew they were going to put out a freaking game engine for people to make games with. I knew it did not. So that's when I lost.
Everybody thought it was going to be like a Zelda maker.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought.
There's still potential for that idea. I was like, man, Game Builder Garage. I knew it because I looked at Labo and I was like, there's no way in the world they're not going to take that system and put it on something that's a standalone. There was no way. I should have done the video. But there's stuff on there. We just did the couple days ago, did another game idea foundry talk. We went over my Street Fighter 6 idea. It was me and Jay. So I'm considering making that a bi-weekly podcast instead of monthly, just because there's more stuff to cover a lot of things pretty fast, especially since people want to complain F-Zero but have no goddamn idea about how they want it to be done. I could actually guide that. Just like I did with how ended up with Star Wars Squadrons. But we'll go. I'll stop being Mr. Full of himself when I'm right. But just go ahead and check my channel out. See whatever you want to see on there, because I'm back into putting my stuff up. I'm not going to be holding my tongue, especially with E3 coming right around the corner. So got to do it.
All right, Shadow.
Since I'm obviously exposed now because I wasn't on the podcast Friday. So what I want to propose to Andre is I want to put Andre on the spot and just say, hey, look, you can be on the Shadowcast and then we could finally have this talk about Street Fighter 6 and whatnot. Because I gracefully missed that one by several hours. So I was thinking 7 o'clock in my head, and I'm like, "What is going? Like, why is he not on? I don't see what's going on." And then I got a notification like super late that night. And I'm like, okay, all right. It is what it is. That's normally the time I start my show.
Anyway, we can figure that out.
But I'm definitely feeling doing the discussion. It's about time that I go ahead and get one together. So have you guys on, or I see Miss K in the chat.
We'll just say it's a part 2. We'll just say it's a continuation for what I did. Hey, what's up, Miss K? You need to come on. I'm putting that out there. You need to come on, Miss K.
Well, hey, Miss K, you hear them? They want you on. I'm just saying.
The project will be complete.
Miss Chocolate. we miss chopping it up with you. That's all. We just miss chopping it up just once.
Just once. But okay, so
and then if you like doing it, you can come back.
Okay, so for me, we just finished. Me and Dre did our Castlevania season 4 review. You can check that out. If you have not watched the Castlevania series on Netflix and you're a gamer of the grown variety, notice I said grown variety. You might want to watch it.
There ain't no watching Castlevania unless you're an adult. You need to.
Yeah, you can't. You can't watch that unless
you cannot let your kids watch it.
Still in my queue.
Yeah, but that. And it's actually bingeable now because this series is done, and so we give our thoughts on it. So check that out. I also have over on the gaming channel, I did a demo run for Scarlet Nexus, and I did that as a live stream. And I have another one coming out next week for the female character Kasane. I actually like Scarlet Nexus. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. It's fun. I like that demo. It reminds me a lot of Astral Chain, but y'all know I like that. Astral Chain is one of my favorite games. So check that out. The E3 stuff, we're still in the planning phases for what we want to do for E3. We just need somebody to put out a schedule.
Yeah, at the last minute.
So we do plan on having guests for E3. So just to let you guys know, so we'll let you know as soon as we find some stuff out. Hopefully, we'll find some stuff out soon.
Yeah, see if we can get Altano on the cast. We'll do it.
Man, I ain't putting him on here. And
bro, no.
I ain't. No.
Now that you want an active roast session.
Yeah.
That's all it's gonna be. That's all it's gonna be.
That's all it's gonna be. So, but yeah,
that'd be a roast set of ages.
I do like this. I was like, hold on, like your music that you got posted. Now y'all can go ahead and go. That's all I can do. I give you props on your music. The rest of it, you on your own. I can't.
But yeah, so we're gonna try to get everything situated so everybody can. So we'll have a nice little E3 weekend set up for everybody. Vicky, we love you. Miss K, we got to get you on, and we'll see you guys on the next vid. Peace out. Wakanda forever, people.
Peace.